Hi there, my name is Nobukumalo and welcome to my channel. If it's your first time, welcome, and if you're coming back, welcome back. Before we go any further, please make sure you click the subscribe button below and like and share the video if you enjoy the content. One of my subscribers the other day said we're road to 1,000 now, and I think that's amazing. I think we're just below 800, so let's get the subscriptions going so that we get to 1,000 fast. So today I have I think this is my fourth guest on the show, which is exciting. I have here my sister Mqhele, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself however she wants to introduce herself. But she's someone I love so much and I hold dear. She's been in my life for the longest time, and yeah, she's just special to me. I'll let her introduce herself before we get into what we're talking about today. Hi, Mqhele.
Hi, girl. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, and thank you for allowing me to be here. It's a great honor. It's a pleasure, really. It is.
Uh-huh.
It
It's
is. Yeah.
amazing how technology now allows us to like do these things because obviously we're not in the
Right.
same place. But with
Yeah.
technology and a bit of fiddling here and there, we've managed to get this going. So
Absolutely.
let's just get straight into it. So today we're having a very important conversation discussion, especially for women, but I don't think it's for women also only. I believe that men deserve or should be part of these conversations because they have women in their lives. Could be a daughter, a sister, a mother, a wife, whatever. I think men live with women, and I think it would be important for them to, know about these things. And so we are discussing. I asked her to pronounce it for me earlier because I was like,
Right.
it's what? Tell me.
Endometriosis.
Endometriosis. Great.
Yeah. You
Cool.
got it. You got it. Well done.
Endo.
Yeah.
I think going forward, I'm just gonna say endo because otherwise it's just
No
gonna be a
problem. That's
bloodbath.
okay. That's
Cool.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
when I was speaking to Mkele about coming onto the show, she told me that I should be happy to speak about this because, like I said, I think it's a very important conversation to have. And I'll say for one, I didn't quite know about it until maybe in the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years when I was now like, a grown
Hmm.
up.
Yeah.
I and I don't think it's because I had never, met someone who's gone through it. I think we've all rubbed shoulders with people who've gone through it, but back in the day, it wasn't, maybe there wasn't a term to describe it, or just the communities that we grew up in just didn't know that it actually has a name,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You want to tell us what endo is, and maybe your story, how was it before you knew, and then how did you come to know that it actually has a name? Just talk us through that.
All right. Firstly, before I go there, I like I did say thank you for having me here, and I'm a very loyal subscriber to your YouTube, and I absolutely enjoy your show. So I'm hoping this is gonna be a good show as well. So kudos to you, girl. Yeah.
Thank you.
Endometriosis is obviously I'm not a medical practitioner, so I won't have you know the the deep, medical aspect to it. But then basically it's a condition, an abnormality of some sort where you have the endometrial lining, which ordinarily should form within the uterus. You have it forming outside the uterus. Now you have it forming in places like maybe the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, and sometimes in rare cases even in the intestines.
Okay.
So this condition causes, obviously, one of the main and the biggest symptoms known to this condition is very painful, excruciating menstrual cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had this condition, I think, for the longest time, but unfortunately, like you said earlier, sometimes we just don't know that there's actually a name to this until
Yeah.
maybe later in life, where you find out, and through maybe other complications that one has to go through, and then you actually realize that no, man, this thing, there's always been something to it. It wasn't natural. It's not like everybody goes through it. It's some people, and yeah. So it took me some time for me to actually know that I had that condition. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Did you always have it growing up? If so, what did you experience? And like when you talk to like family and like I'm guessing your mom, especially as a girl, as you're growing up, did you kind of think, oh, I just have that's if you had it when you're younger, did you kind of think, oh, I just my periods are just like more painful than the average? Or did you think maybe everyone goes through this? Or what were your thoughts? And then take us through the point where you thought, there's a problem here and we need to find out what it is, and also the point where you get to the diagnosis where the doctor says, okay, this is not just painful periods, this is endo.
Okay, so growing up, I had really, really a tough time with the painful experience. The periods were really painful, and I didn't know. Like you're saying, I didn't know that it was a condition. And remember, you can't exactly weigh your pain against someone else's pain,
Yes,
so you don't
exactly,
necessarily
exactly.
know that this person is has. So it all my life, teenage life, and into
Yeah.
adult life, I had that. And I remember one time my mother telling me that she also growing up had a similar situation. She was like, she had really, really bad period pains until she had her first child. And only
Okay.
then she became better. And with time, everything was okay. But for me,
So I'm
this is what
guessing
happened.
you're thinking that. So I'm guessing you're thinking, oh, okay, maybe when I have my first child, then all will be well,
Right,
probably.
right. And it
Hmm.
didn't happen that way. So this was my experience. I am having this situation. I've got very painful periods, and it's happening all the time, and I didn't know how to deal with it. Then what happened was, um, for me to actually figure out that there was something wrong was when a couple of years ago, I think that was 2009, I had my first miscarriage.
Hmm.
Having a miscarriage, I lost my baby, and obviously, no one can really have a reason to know what could have happened. So I
Yeah.
went to the doctor. They cleaned me up. I did the rightful procedure. It happens for the first time, and you think, "Ouch!" It hurts, it
Mm.
stings,
Mm.
but it's life, and you just kind of move on with it. And
Yeah.
then I tried again for another baby. But this time it was even worse because this time it was now an ectopic pregnancy. And for those who don't know, an ectopic pregnancy is where the embryo actually sits in the fallopian tube and it can't move down
Okay.
to the uterus. So I had that. And again, it stings again. You're like, ouch again. But then now you can't exactly figure out what is the problem.
Yeah.
So it happened and I had to deal with that. And remember, all this is happening. I still have this terrible cramps. I'm still
Cramps.
struggling. It's a whole challenge around this whole situation. And God was gracious enough in 2011 to give me a child, and I'm so
Hmm.
absolutely truly grateful for the germ
Hmm.
that he gave me. I'm really so grateful. But then life goes on, obviously. A couple of years down the line, and another miscarriage. And now
Hmm.
traditionally people always have their own theories of things, and
Yeah. We
yeah,
Africans.
yes, Africans always have their their story. And
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
by then all these theories are coming around and people are suggesting this and that. There's all sorts of things, weird things were going on at that time. And I struggled with that. And now remember, this is the third time I'm losing a pregnancy, and now it's blowing my mind. It's literally blowing my mind because I'm not understanding why. And then I wasn't gonna give up. In Debele, my mom would always say, "Unkulunkulu kakhalale," as in you don't give up. You don't
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
give up and say, I've had it.
Yeah.
A couple of year or two after that, I had another pregnancy, and this time again, it was an ectopic pregnancy. Now on the other tube. Remember, I did say that a couple of years ago I had an ectopic
Okay. Yeah.
pregnancy, and that tube, story for another day. It got
Yeah.
messed up, it ruptured. I honestly almost lost my life, but I'm truly grateful that
Hmm.
I'm here today. So now,
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4 years later, it was now on the other tube. So all this is happening. I have no idea what is going on. There's all sorts of theories, there's all sorts of stories, but I don't really know the depth of what the problem could have been and how it could be solved.
Hmm. What are your
I
gynaes? What are your gynaes saying though at this time? I'm guessing
At
like
this
each
point,
time something happens, even if you change a gynae, you tell them like, oh, I've had this and this experience. Are they
yeah.
not like pushing to find out what is the problem?
No, not once. I changed gynecologists like twice, and
Mm-hmm.
both of them did not give me anything. They didn't give me anything solid with what was happening. I would go for scans, I would go for this and that, but no one would give me anything that was happening. I remember in 2015 coming for a meeting here in South Africa. It was a work meeting, and there happened to be a doctor, a gynecologist was coming from some European country. I can't remember which one,
Yeah.
and she said that ladies could come for free consultation, and just if you had any gynecological problem, you can come.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I told her my problem. She said, you know what, your problem is deeper than what you think. For the first time, I heard that there was
Some,
something, yeah, there was a medical condition. So
yeah.
unfortunately, she also, because it was just consultation, she didn't do a scan or whatever, so she couldn't exactly tell me exactly what the problem was, and which was fine. But at the back of my head, I had now an understanding of what was happening. Fast forward, how I finally found out that I actually had this condition. I moved to South Africa in 2017. And then in 2018, there was a routine health evaluation checkup at work, and
Yeah.
everybody had to go through it. So obviously, I went through it, and you get everything checked, your entire body, to see if there's anything that needs to be sorted, any condition that you have. So I remember this day because the process would take about a week because you're checking everything, your
Mm-hmm.
entire body, blood tests, the heart, everything. So I remember one day, it was a Thursday, I went in for the gynecology things, pap smear and everything like that. And then I got a call after the scan and everything. I got a call from the gynecologist. She says, I need to talk to you in person. Because what I expected was after the test that they do, they just need a report, and I take the report back to work. She
Mm-hmm.
asked to see me. I went to see her, and she asked me if I was in pain. I said, no, I'm not in pain. Okay. Are you experiencing this, this, this? No, I'm not experiencing this. I said, okay. From the results that I'm carrying right now, you seem to have your uterus is not in position. It's in. So I said, what do you mean? She says, instead of being in a vertical position, your uterus is actually horizontal. Now that freaked me out. I was like, wait,
I
what?
can imagine.
Oh, wait, what? Like, yes, your uterus is horizontal. It's not. So I fear some complications, but are you in pain? I said no. And then obviously she wanted to know, why am I doing this test? Is there something that brought me? So I said, no, this is just a work health evaluation. It's done every two
Yeah.
years. He said, okay. Um, if
But
if
at this
you're not in
time,
pain,
did you not think at that moment, did you not think, okay, I'm not in pain now, but
you know what?
weird things
It's
have been
funny because I
happening?
kind of overlooked it because she also had this kind of thing to say, let sleeping dogs lie. Because I
Okay,
could
okay.
tell she has something she wants to say to me. That's why she asked me to come to her office. But at the same time, since I'm saying I'm not in pain, and since I didn't come here because I have a problem, I came here because this
Yeah,
just worked. So she let me go. But now, remember, in my subconscious, I know that there's something wrong. There's something that's not quite
going on.
adding up.
Yeah,
That's 2018.
yeah.
Then I think the biggest and final confirmation was a year after, because now
Mm-hmm.
remember, this is hormonal, and as you grow, as you age, I'm 35 now. Obviously, I'm growing. The condition kind of got worse. It kind of got worse
Mm-hmm.
with time. So I finally go to the doctor. The doctor does his own scans. My GP now, and immediately he says, you know what, you have endometriosis. For the first
Mm-hmm.
time, he told me about it. I was shook, I was shaken. Now I start, he told me everything that had happened. He asked for my history. I told him about the pregnancies I had lost. I told him
Yeah,
everything that had happened. And when he went with me through this, for the first time,
yeah.
it made absolute sense. Now it
I,
made
I,
sense.
I was going to ask,
This is what
I was going
happened.
to ask, what did it feel like finally putting a name to this thing that had been like tormenting you for years, but that you just couldn't like,
Right.
because you're like, am I being bewitched? Bang, Lord, come on,
Yes,
So, what does it feel
exactly.
like when, not that it will change anything, but when you're like,
Yeah.
thank you, there's a name, like,
Yes, actually, that's how I felt.
Uh-huh.
There was a kind of relief to it because
Yeah,
now I said, you know what, it makes sense. Suddenly, it makes sense. I've had this thing, I didn't know I had it. Nobody told me I had it. it's got a name, and I was grateful. And you know what? It's because now I knew it had a name. I started researching about it. Google doctor, and I find out that 1 in every 10 women globally has this condition. And I'm like, this is wild. Like, there's 10
Yeah.
women
Yeah.
here, one of them here's gotta have it, you know. So it really made sense for me to say, so this is a thing. It's a thing, and as much as it hurts to know and the
Yeah.
implications thereof of that
Yeah.
condition,
Yeah.
it was kind of a relief. And let me just mention that my dad also helped me through this journey. My dad,
Okay.
there's a book that the colporteurs sell, healing power of plants. So my
Uh-huh.
dad, for the longest time, he used to make concoctions for me. He'd
Mm-hmm.
try.
Mm-hmm.
I remember drinking some herbal teas, horsetail.
Yeah.
I remember different things from the book that the colporteurs sell, and
Uh-huh.
none of that helped. And I want to believe that probably maybe it we tried the herbal medication much later.
Uh-huh.
Maybe had we done it much earlier, maybe it would have helped. I don't know, but yeah, it was a relief to finally know that this is a thing.
Put a name to
And
it. Yeah.
yeah, yes.
Wow, amazing. So like how does your life change now after endo? Do you get like medication to help you through work? Because I'm imagining like it would probably also even disrupt your work, right? On the days when you're on your cycle, because it's not just the
Mm,
usual, oh, I'll just take Brufen and
no,
I'll deal with it and just go.
yeah,
Was then having a diagnosis and then went to test like, okay, this is now how we help you. How has that been? And now how do you like manage the pain? And what
yeah,
conversations do you have with your employer, if anything? Or is it because I know like things that have to do with the menstrual cycle are still like those things that you're not supposed to really talk about, that
yeah.
especially women's things and all that. But then when you're in your situation, I feel like you kind of need to tell someone who's
You
tell your
absolutely
employer one
do.
way or the other. Otherwise,
You,
otherwise
there's no
every
way.
month you're not
Listen,
showing up for a couple of days,
there is no way you can ask for an off day or whatever and not explain what the situation is. And I'm so
Yeah,
grateful for
yeah,
my supervisors at work. I just sent an SMS, this is the situation. But then again, remember this has been happening for the longest time. So
yeah.
because of that, I started, I put myself on very strong tablets while I was back in Zim. If you know diclofenac, I don't recommend to anyone because that's medication that is actually supposed to be prescribed to you. But
Hmm.
I kind of had a arrangement with the pharmacy, so I used to get these, even though they're usually for people who have had operations and all. But I used to
Okay.
get them because it was so bad, and I was
Hmm.
told that this will damage your kidneys and so on. But it was it's either that or I'm
Oh,
half dead every single month on my bed. I can't work. I can't
yeah,
what. To the extent
yeah.
that even when I moved to South Africa, every time I go back home, I'll get it in stashes. I
Oh,
keep diclofenac. I moved a notch up. I moved from 25 milligrams. I now take the one in 50 milligrams. It's
oh
insane,
no.
really. In the life, yeah,
Mm,
it's really
yeah,
insane. But it's something that I absolutely had to, because for me to be alive and be well. And I like that you mentioned about the work aspect. That's
yeah,
a very sensitive issue. I'm not a women activist or feminist or whatever, but when they say that it's a men's world, it really is a men's
yeah,
world. And we find that situations or conditions like endometriosis in the world, it's not necessarily recognized as an illness.
yeah,
It's a cycle,
yeah.
monthly cycle, that somehow women should embrace. And probably by now, at my age, you're probably used to it. The fact that
You
it's
know
a
what?
condition. Hmm.
Now
Hmm.
that you say it, I remember we were in a conversation, I think with friends or someone, and I think a guy said it in jest that, like, I mean, come on, this thing happens every single month, and you're
Oh
now
my
like
word.
20 whatever years old. Surely by this time, like 12 times
Yeah.
a year, surely by this time you should have found ways. And
Sure.
I was just like,
What you talking about?
no,
No, it
no,
doesn't.
go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah, so you find that in the world globally, that's why there is an employment. Okay, there's already an employment gender inequality.
Yeah,
Men have a 25% higher chance of getting employment than women in any
the women.
organization all around the world. Now,
Mhm.
we are not even bringing in issues like endometriosis into the picture. So if an employer is to choose, they're more inclined to choose a man, obviously, because a woman, there's maternity leave, there's all sorts of inconveniences that come with being a woman.
Yeah.
So we put
Yeah.
that aside. So now here I am. I am now working. I'm fortunate enough to have, a job, and then I bring in the issue of endometriosis. It's hard, really. So we have
Yeah.
countries in the world, in Europe, countries like Spain, in Asia, we have countries like India that have that actually give menstrual leave. It sounds ridiculous if you don't actually know what such conditions as
Yeah.
endometriosis entail. If you know and
Hmm.
understand that this thing is ridiculous, it can put you on the floor, it can throw you off, then you'll understand that these things are absolutely necessary. And that's why we
Hmm.
also find that there's also differences in the way men and women are remunerated in some companies in
Mm.
different places. You find that
Yeah.
men are remunerated higher salaries and women. So it's hard. It's really hard
Yeah.
that how then do we bring this subject to the table to
Up.
say, look, this
Hmm.
is a real condition. It's unfortunate I have to go through it every single
Every
month.
month, but it is what it
Yeah,
is. Hmm.
but it's real, and it takes my life away. So unless I drug myself with medication that then also affects my kidneys, so it's really a hard balance. But I'm glad on my part, my supervisor's like, it's just a phone call away to say, what, today I'm not well, can I just take
Hmm.
some time off? And I've never had a problem with that, so I'm truly grateful, truly grateful.
That's amazing. So now you're raising a girl child, right?
Yeah.
How, as a mom who's gone through this, right? Like,
Hmm.
what are you? I'm sure you're heightened, especially when you say like your mom went through it
Absolutely.
and then you went through it. You're probably thinking, ah, is this going to happen to my daughter? Like
Hmm.
what are your fears, and like how how are you turning those fears into being like present, and so that you're able to quickly spot it if it's there, and
Yeah.
like get her the help that she needs early, and maybe even just
Okay.
even if for mothers who have not had an experience with it, right? Maybe just
Hmm.
educators to say, if you have a daughter, look out
Hmm.
for this, just in
Hmm.
case.
So I have told myself that I don't want to take chances. I want
Yeah.
to believe that had I taken the herbal concoctions in good time,
Uh-huh.
I think
Hmm.
that they would have helped me quite a lot. So I've told myself that for my daughter, I want to be there for her, and introduce these herbal concoctions at the earliest possible time. And
Yeah.
I want to believe that it's going to help her. I want to take nothing for granted, because the pain that I've gone through, not
Yeah.
knowing what is this normal, is it what, and the effects there of losing all those pregnancies later in life,
Mm.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone, honestly.
Mm.
So it's really a situation where I think mothers, parents should be um, proactive about it. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's no cure for endo. Okay, at least no known cure for it.
Known cure.
But I
Okay.
do want to believe that I
But there's
somehow, as
ways to
part of,
manage it, right?
besides medication, besides medication. Okay, one other thing maybe that I can say when you're talking about managing it is that my doctor in the last 2 months, he then prescribed some kind of medication for me. I'm still new on it, so I can't say if it's
Hmm.
it's gonna. And this medication is not dealing with the situation. He was kind of tampering with my hormones,
Okay.
um, yeah, to try and stop that endometrial lining from forming, because that is what
Hmm.
is the problem. As it tries
Okay.
to shed off, I don't think we talked about this. Remember that lining is in the wrong places. So
Uh-huh.
as it
Uh-huh.
tries to shed off, it's not shedding off in the right places. So now you have pockets of that tissue in I'm sorry, this is a bit graphic, but
No, no, please talk. I'm
no,
just I'm imagining how painful it must be, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So you have pockets of those blood tissues are now above your bladder. You have pockets i- in the wrong places, and that is excruciating. That is excruciating. So what he's trying to do with me now, the what I'm going through, is he's trying to manipulate my hormones to try and make sure that I stop producing that endometrial lining. Because once
Okay.
I produce it in the wrong places. Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's just amazing. I think When we think about how, like I'm saying, like
Mhm.
I only got to know that it exists as a condition with the name
Yeah,
later in life. But I can think back even to as early as primary school, we did have a few, classmates who we knew that every month, this one has like
yeah,
the worst grades. And we never used to understand, especially when you're in primary school,
yeah.
when not everyone is going through that, because some people, it's only going to happen later. But we had these
Hmm.
people who were like, who are never there every month. And I think it's
Exactly.
amazing how social media is making these things
Hmm.
come to life, right?
Yeah.
And with access to the internet and all that, we are getting more and more aware of these things that
Hmm.
affect women every
Hmm.
single day. And like you say,
Hmm.
when you say 1 in 10, that is a lot of people,
That's a
right?
lot of people, and they don't even know
A
it.
lot
Some people
of
don't even know it. Yeah, yeah.
That's
Because
what
I
they
mean,
don't even
look,
know. That's what
you not everybody has access to healthcare. At least that kind of
exactly.
healthcare that will, do the
Yeah,
scans and figure out what. Not everybody's
exactly.
got that. So for you to actually get to that point for me it was a relief, and I knew what I was dealing with and everything. So
Amazing.
that's yeah, yeah.
So okay, I think I don't know if you have anything else that you want to say, but I think to wrap it all up, I'd want to hear what you might have to say for women living with it, and also what you might have to say for people living with people with endo. How can we be supportive to people who are living with endo, regardless of the relationship with the person that you have? If you have
Chocolate,
specific
chocolate.
relationship in terms of
Okay, what
okay,
you can do is chocolate. Okay, what you can do is chocolate, a hot water bottle, and tablets. Okay, just do that. Just do that. But no, seriously, for people living with endo, really, I have no advice really, because you can't cure it. I
you
think
can't
we
cure
just
it.
have to embrace it, find a way to deal with it. And it's unfortunate, like I said, I'm grateful that at least I do have a daughter.
A
But some
daughter.
people become infertile for the rest of their lives, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I send love and light to anybody who's struggling with having a child. I know the pain. I've lost 4 pregnancies. I know the pain. First time you're like, ouch. Second time you're
Mm.
like, okay. Third time
Mm-hmm.
you're like, okay, now this is really messed up.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can never get used to that kind of pain. And it's just something that you really can't exactly get used to. So it's really
Yeah.
tough. And maybe while we're on that, I did say that the two ectopic pregnancies, maybe just to elaborate on
Okay.
why um, the I had the ectopic pregnancies. So in the fallopian tubes, the
Mm-hmm.
fallopian tubes are in such a way that the lining of the tubes has got little hairs, like hair nostrils. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so there's little hairs in there that are supposed to naturally get the embryo from the eggs. It moves and moves and moves into the uterus and
Exactly.
it settles there.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Yeah.
now, with the endometrial lining, remember this lining is now stuck everywhere in all the wrong places. So
Mm-hmm.
those little hairs that are supposed to carry that little embryo into the stomach are no longer doing that. So now
Okay.
you have what has been formed, it's now stuck in there, and then it tries to grow and it eventually erupts or whatever happens. And in most cases, it's very, very dangerous situations. So I just want to encourage endo moms or anybody who's got that to say that once you find out that you are pregnant, you're expecting at the earliest possible time, just monitor
Exactly.
yourself, be in touch with your gynae, just make sure everything is okay, because that helped me
Uh-huh.
a lot with my second ectopic pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
because he was monitoring and he's noticed that okay, it's in the wrong place. So we didn't wait for it to actually rupture. He took me to
Uh-huh.
the theater and moved it before it actually ruptured. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important to say, as much as you're trying to have a child, even when you finally fall pregnant, just be in touch and monitor it to make sure that everything goes according to plan.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for, coming to talk about this and like breaking
No,
the stigma around talking about
yeah,
these things. I really believe that the more we talk about them, the more people
hmm,
are conscientized of that these things exist, the more people will,
absolutely,
the more people will be more aware and can spot these things earlier. And I think I know, you say there's no treatment or cure for it, but I do believe,
yeah,
hearing someone else's story, just knowing that you're not alone, going
Yeah.
through this just does
Hmm.
something for the soul, I believe. So thank you
Yes.
so much for your bravery and for coming to educate us on this
You're
and speak
welcome.
to us about this. And yeah,
It
I
was
hope
my
I hope
pleasure.
your new medication works for you so that the pain is less,
Oh well,
and
I
yeah,
hope we
honestly,
move. We just
we
keep
will.
moving. Yeah,
We
yeah, we
really
just keep
move,
moving.
but really
Yeah,
thank you so much.
most
I
welcome.
hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something, man or woman. Whether you have a daughter, a sister, or anyone. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that going forward we can be a little bit more understanding of the people that we usually term dramatic. People who we
Yeah,
think, ah, come on, you're going through this every single month. Surely by now, I think if we take a step back to understand that the fact that you're not experiencing something the way someone else is doesn't invalidate their experience. And I hope going forward we can exercise empathy and kindness and understanding. As usual, please like the video and let's engage in the comment section if you have anything to say about maybe your journey with Endo or what you've learned, or if you know someone who's gone through it. Please feel free to interact in the comment section. Please also share the video with your friends. You don't know who is going to help. And bigger than anything, please subscribe. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. Goodbye.